comfortably zoned with me, the Zigzag Man, in Alameda, California, right across the bay from San Francisco, up in the northern part of the great state that I call home. I wasn't born and raised here, but I really love it. It's terrific. Now, my guest, on the other hand, was born and raised in California, but the southern part, and you've remained all these many years. Michael Dante, returning to these airwaves. Renaissance.
Ralph, I've got to correct you. I was born and raised in Stamford, Connecticut, but
okay.
I lived in California many years more than I lived in the state of Connecticut, and where my family and some of my family still live there. But California,
now, that's how you got to meet my godfather. You got to meet my godfather, Tony D'Angelo, in Stamford, Connecticut, and he introduced me to you. And he is so fond of you, as I am after our interview. You've really lived a blessed life. We talk about being a Renaissance man. You were a very successful actor, now a writer. We're going to talk about your work. But you were a bonus baby in with the Boston Braves. Baseball's my love. Not my first love.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because it's still my love. I guess we'd say first, second, between acting and baseball. I love them both, and I'm glad you're a big baseball fan, Ralph.
I am indeed, and I go so far back as to remember going to the Polo Grounds with my grandfather in 1951. I was 4 and a half and very impressionable, and I went to all three Major League parks at that time, Ebbets Field, the original Yankee Stadium, and the Polo Grounds in 1951. And I have memories of all three. I have also a fascination with the Braves themselves. The Boston Braves became the Milwaukee Braves, and then became the Atlanta Braves. And you were indeed a bonus baby with the Boston Braves. I know, but tell our audience what being a bonus baby meant in those days.
Well, in 1950, I was just graduated high school. As an 18-year-old youngster, and I played in the New England Newspaper League for Stamford, Connecticut, and we won the New England Championship. And the playoff games were played at the old Boston Braves field in Boston, Massachusetts. And I was the most valuable player in the playoffs. So the Braves signed me to a bonus contract of $6,000. Now, in those days, you couldn't get a dime over $6,000. If you did, you had to spend 2 years in the big leagues, and they weren't about to give an 18-year-old, put an 18-year-old kid on a roster and sit the bench for the duration of 2 years. So they did put a maximum of $6,000, and I received the maximum. Today, on today's market, it would be a couple of $1 million. So it's a little.
But in those days, exactly how much? $6,000. How far?
$6,000 went a long way. I bought Mom and Dad. My dad was in the produce business, so when we traveled or I needed transportation, we used the truck. There were three sisters and one brother. There were 5 children in the family, so we traveled in the truck at that time. And when I received the bonus first thing I thought of was to buy the family an automobile. Well, I bought a 4-door, all white wall tire, radio and heater Buick. It was a beauty. And would you believe it? It cost all of $2,400. Brand new, spanking new, $2,400. So, yeah, I guess in those days that would be equivalent to an awful lot of money compared to the prices they get today. You're talking $35,000 rather than $2,400. So
you're talking much more nowadays than $35,000.
Yeah, sure. And we were so delighted. Dad was delighted. Mom and my sisters and brothers, we celebrated and went to visit friends and had a beautiful. The 4-door was a beautiful looking car in those days, and we rode in comfort. And I couldn't be more proud to have had the privilege of doing that for the family. And I said to Mom and Dad,
your dad must have passed on qualities to you to have put you in a place, both physically and mentally, where you could have earned that kind of bonus. What was some?
Yeah, it was always we were brought up was family, God, and country. We were patriots. Dad was born in Italy, came over when he was 9 years of age, and in 1911. He was born in 1902 and came over in 1911, and didn't know the language. He assimilated, he acclimated himself and spoke the English better than I do, or did. Dad's gone, but he acclimated, loved America, loved everything it stood for, and we were raised to believe in family, God, and country, and to this day, that's my principles. I base everything on those loves and go from there.
Well, your family shares the same traits as my Jewish immigrant family, grandfathers and aunts and uncles. They're gone. I want to ask you, with those traits and what we grew up believing in the early 50s, what do you make of today's situation, of today's life? Are you as absolutely shocked as I think my forefathers would be if they were alive today?
Oh, absolutely, Ralph. I'm shocked. I'm sorry to say, even use the word hatred. There's no negotiating or sitting down and people being civil to one another if they disagree with them. You know, everybody has a right to disagree and freedom of speech and use certainly not use foul language and voicing their opinion about an issue or about a person, and talking so negatively about their country and about their president or mayor or governor or senator or or House of Representatives. I mean, we vote for officials, and if we disagree with them, call them on the phone. We'll write to them, but be civil and be intelligent and not be so full of hate. What I think the press is so one-sided, and that the people today are bold in voicing their animosity and their hatred towards someone on either side, and have no feeling or sensitivity about being loyal to country and wanting to be treated the way they wish to be treated, and we've been divided. I think, and I think I'm correct. I'm very correct in saying that Obama divided us. I thought that he would bring us together. Gee whiz! His mom was white. His dad was African American. What a great combination, and a very intelligent man, and really was a marvelous speaker.
Oh, he didn't divide us. He brought us together.
Well, I don't think so. I think America's divided.
But you
now.
don't think it was Obama that divided us per se, do you?
I think he and his followers, Soros, he's been involved with certain people that he's had to adhere to that have financed his being elected. And I just thought that he would bring America more together, and I don't think that happened.
Okay. That said, you do have experience, direct experience. I remember chatting briefly with you once that you knew the head of the Actors Guild Union back in the day, Ronald Reagan. And,
yes.
What are your memories of him when you were an actor and he standing up a union man for your rights?
Well, in the beginning, he was a Democrat.
Yes, he was.
If you followed his career closely, he was a Democrat. And for what he did for the Screen Actors Guild, I thought it was wonderful. He did such a great job. When I met him, the thing I recognized most about him was his charm. He had a charming and an ambiance about him of leadership. He was very articulate and couldn't be nicer. I mean, I'm not a politician or care to get involved in politics. Only when I read and feel and know what we went through in our family growing up, in my dad's family, with seven children, on my dad's side, and having to pursue life coming from another country and working hard and believing in the American dream. If you work, you're willing to work hard, you can accomplish an awful lot. The opportunities in our country are there. Education is first. You should certainly the youngsters should adhere to learning as much as they can in school, and be very proud of what they accomplish. I was wanted my parents to be proud of me and what I accomplished. So I worked diligently at what I was in pursuit of in my life was, first of all, to go through high school and possibly to college and be a ball player. And if anything happened to me, if I had an injury or anything went wrong, I'd pursue my second love, which was acting. Well, it so happened that I did. I dreamed. I worked hard towards those objectives. And I think we need that kind of attitude, that the American dream is here and it's still here, and we have to unite and believe in our country and leadership and respect.
Dante, I don't see
the respect.
I want to talk about your novella. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, novella, yes. Winterhawk
It is
Land.
a novella, and it's a wonderful book. I've been reading up on it. But I just want to ask you, just because I can't let the Reagan thing connect, he was a wonderful leader and a Democrat, and he did work hard for human rights. Were you shocked the day that he broke the Air Controllers Union?
No, I wasn't very involved in politics in early days, or reading much about what was going on in the country in an intense manner. I'm much more aware today because I'm older. Ralph, I think we're older,
right.
and when we were started out in the youngster. God, when I was 14 years old, I worked with my uncle to put Chester Bowles, a Democrat, in office. I was 14 years old and driving a car around with no license to go and pick up the people in the Italian and Jewish sections that didn't have transportation, and went and they were, everybody was a Democrat in those days. And Roosevelt, of course, was a president for a fourth term. My God. But things changed. America's changed. Every generation, the thinking and people come with new ideas and new ideals, and we all, those of us that, I'm an avid reader. Ralph, I read. I love, first of all, my first love is autobiographies. But then I love reading about history. History was my first love in school. I loved history, American history. Well, they're not teaching that as much as they did years ago. Things are happening in our school system that have changed, that are different from when I went to school, and I'm sure you find it different, and a lot of people I've talked to, and they all say the same thing. We respected our teachers. There were no lawsuits, and if a teacher reprimanded you and you didn't call your lawyer, and anything went wrong in school, they called your parents, and your parents had to come in and listen to what happened between teacher and pupil. Well,
right.
We respected teachers as almost, I would say they were our second parents. Well, all of that has changed, and the world has changed.
Well, all of that has changed is because a lot of the school districts don't get the funding and the teaching, the good teachers, the experienced teachers, and hurtfully, the kids who need it most, there's conflict about them getting school lunches and food and coming. The very poor that have to send their kids to school hungry, they can't advance the way it's not equal. And
that's not right. You're right. I agree with that. There's got to be a better way. There's always a better way, as you know, Ralph.
The better way isn't taxing the billionaires less and cutting funds from education and school lunches and disability for the old, the old, elderly, if you want to call us, whatever the hell you want to call us, we ain't young. And
I agree. There's got to be changes, Ralph. We've got to compromise. They've got to sit down. What I like about Trump, at least he's starting a dialogue.
Normally when somebody says what I like about Trump, I go, I can't hear that. We're going to have to start again. But go ahead. What can you possibly, Dante, like about Trump? I'm just curious.
I like the fact that he's his own man. He's not a part of the Washington group of politicians that can't wait to go to their parties, receive their pensions, and get all the cream of the crop, and not doing their job the way they're supposed to do for the benefit of the people, like we were just talking about, school,
that is true.
About
100%.
the underdog.
The system is broken. A system that is broken enough to allow, let's just be fair, both candidates to have been there. Is said. Now that we've covered the political aspect of Face the Nation, let's get on to something that has really amazed me. You played a role in 1975 and got into that role so much in your head that ... Tell us about it, Dante.
Oh, we're talking about Winterhawk. Maybe of all the actors that have ever lived have had the the opportunity, the good fortune to play a title role. I was very fortunate to be given the title role of Winterhawk. And the producer, writer, and director, Charlie Pierce, saw me in the Custer series. I did a Custer series for 17 weeks. And he saw me in that that characterization, etc., in that series, and cast me to play the title role. And it was, I've always, I'm always root, and I always root no matter what it is, if it's sports or any kind of situation. I'm always rooting for the underdog. I want the guy that or the woman who's not supposed to win and win for the right reasons. And the Native Americans, Ralph, have not been given their fair shake on television. I want to see the African Americans have. I think they're getting an awful lot of attention in television and motion pictures, and rightfully so. But I don't see that happening for the Native Americans, the tribes that are in so such need. There are a lot of tribes, of course, with the gambling casinos are doing very well, but there are other Native Americans that are not getting their just due. I'd like to see them on television and motion pictures more.
Right.
So I do care deeply. They were here first. They were the first Americans, to my knowledge. They should be treated and respected, a lot more. I know they are given a lot of financial help.
Imperialists, and we just took over, and you're absolutely correct. And the way they were treated. I'm just thinking, why don't you write? You need to next step write a TV series about.
Well, this could be a TV series, Ralph. Winterhawk's Land is an action-based story between the railroad company and the U.S. government. Winterhawk and his people had to fight against the government and the railroad company that took 5 miles on each side of the track without negotiating with the Native Americans. So the conflict is that Winterhawk did not compromise. They were able to bribe some of the other chieftains off. The Winterhawk's Land's story would be very articulate in what happened during that period of time. And they didn't stop the railroad. Winterhawk didn't stop the railroad permanently, but he detained them for a number of years. So the railroad did succeed. It did go through eventually from coast to coast. But this story is about retaliating against what they were trying to do. Is create a genocide, killing the buffalo for sport from their railroad comforts of the railroad cars, and not taking the furs, not taking food or any of them for shelter. Well, that was the life and soul of the Native Americans, of food, shelter, and clothing. So Winterhawk in the story defends his people and was successful for a period of time. But as we know historically, that the railroad eventually and the government with the power and the white man had come and succeeded and laying out the railroad from one coast to another. So you had progress then, but the price that the Native Americans paid was tremendous. You know, and
they were given whooping cough blankets and
sure, and then they were killing the buffalo.
That's not a blight. The first real blight on Americana was the way they treated the Native Americans. Where was Winterhawk's territory?
It was in Montana, in the northwest, up to the Canadian border and head back, and met with various tribes along the way that were not hostile. Back down to the Midwestern tribes, they all had problems during the weather in the north and northwest. Always had problems during the winter period for food and the buffalo to keep them alive. And so, in the story, when Winterhawk journeys to see the railroad for the first time, he had never seen the railroad. When he goes off the journey on his beautiful Appaloosa steed and sees the railroad for the first time, and before he approaches the tracks, the metal tracks, he sees the carnage all thrown about that were killed for sport, and none of the meat was taken for food, or the hides for clothing and shelter. I have a diagram in the back of the book. Hundreds of things the buffalo, the Native Americans used the buffalo for their domestic usage.
Tools.
Everything. It's just the bones, the hides and everything about, of course, the
warmth.
Food. The warmth, everything, it's so descriptive. Winterhawk's Land is I think it's my best literature. I've got other scripts and stories, but I think Winterhawk's Land, you'll see in the etchings, the sketches in the book are by David Powell. Now, David Powell was the set designer and wardrobe man, a young man at the time, when we did the original Winterhawk. And we became friends, and of course he was so talented and contributed so much to the movie. And he is a wonderful painter and sculptor. His father was Ace Powell. Now, Ace Powell and Charlie Russell painted throughout that northwestern country watercolor and the genre of Western genre subject matter, and they were absolutely just brilliant artists.
They did the sets and the recreations and what have you. Is that it?
Well, the son, this is remarkable. His son, David, inherited his father's talent. Now, Ace played my father in Winterhawk. He played my father in Winterhawk. And now his son, David, became an artist. He was naturally the household of Ace Powell. He learned to paint and sculpt. Well, he paints just like his father and sculpts. I mean, he was given this talent and transcended from his father. You should see the etchings in the picture, and he gets anywhere from $10, $20, $25, $35,000 for his paintings, his watercolors, and his sculptor work today. And he did the sketchings in Winterhawk's Land. They are fabulous. The reader will be so impressed with the sketches, and I think it's he did a superb job. I'm so proud of the book. And we had 5 stars. Had 5 stars the first week on Amazon.
Whoa.
Winterhawk's Land.
Nice. That,
so you can imagine the appreciation.
Today's day and
age,
just
starting.
Is a New York Times review right there. If I can equate it from when a review from the New York Times is really worth something, and it is today to a certain extent. But we've become a online world, and what I admire so much about you is that you've been able to adjust to the change that's going on over your lifetime. And I think that's what keeps the people that survive survivors. It keeps them going because you got to change. You got to go with the flow. You've done that.
Yeah.
Dante,
you're right, Ralph. And I think of Netanyahu as a great leader of his people, and I think of Arab countries wanting to annihilate the Jewish people and destroy Israel. It makes me sick.
Dante, it's a shanda.
Oh God, it's dreadful to hear that, because I have my brother-in-laws. I have brother-in-law and sister-in-laws that are Jewish, and we grew up together. And then when I see and hear those things, and my wife is Jewish, so when I see and hear these things about anybody wanting to annihilate another body of people, what kind of animals do we have in this world that think that way? Am I wrong, Ralph?
Well, I just want to tell you, all Arabs don't act like Texans, and all Texans don't act like Arabs.
Yeah.
So if you think of it that way, you can't bulk a whole bunch of people together and just say, stereotype everybody.
No, absolutely not.
There's a far view from a peaceful Muslim, which are the overwhelming majority of folks. Of course. It is the bad. Of course. Yeah, it is the bad. It's a horrible world. I want to ask you, though, what are the leadership qualities of your character that you find most prevalent? Why was
when I read the script of Winterhawk, Ralph, it was an immediate marriage. The first impression when you read a script is really the impression with a capital T.
Right.
I made a marriage with this character immediately because of his dignity, his nobility, and I knew I could add the physical attributes and the physical demands of this character with his horsemanship and his leadership, his ability to defend himself. But the addition of a spiritual essence gave the character Winterhawk in the original story a dimension that really the nuances really was a big plus to the character and the picture. It really made the picture and made it work because his decisions were not based on ego. They were based on a greater element, like the sun and the moon and the wind and the earth and nature. And he relied on.
Who wrote the screenplay for that you read initially?
Initially, was written by Charles B. Pierce. He directed and produced it.
Oh, okay. But he did a hell of a job.
Yes, he did. I think he had an assistant that helped him with the screenplay.
He was able to move the star, the actor, to to the character. He was able to bring you to the character, and that's all in the writing as far as.
Yeah, and also the visual. He was a photographer, Ralph, and he had a great visual talent. He had a concept of what bounced off the material to his imagination in terms of the overall picture, and the final picture was really his talent. That's where he excelled.
Did you read for the part, or was the part written?
No. When I was doing a picture in New York at the time, and I was at the Warwick Hotel location there, on a picture called "That's the Way of the World," with Harvey Keitel and Ed Nelson, the three of us. It was about the music business, and we were way ahead of our time at the time. It was a very good exploitation of the business in the behind the scenes of the music business. Went on with the brown bags full of money and bribery, etc.
Payola, what have you.
Yeah, and so I got a phone call from my agent and said that they want you for a picture entitled Winterhawk. It's a Native American picture and so forth. Half the three-quarters of the script is written. It's not completely finished, but I'm going to send you the screenplay, and the director wants you to do the director-producer. Writer would like you to play the title role. So they shipped the script off to me, and what I read, I'd liked to, and was flattered that he wanted me to play this noble character, and they wanted to see me as soon as I finished the picture. The moment I got home and dropped my bags, to call them and to fly up to Kalispell, Montana, where the offices and location was, to shoot Winterhawk, and meet with Charles B. Pierce and the rest of his company. So I did. Got settled a day or two. Spoke with them. They flew me up. I walked in the room. Their headquarters were at the hotel there in Kalispell, Montana. And I walked in, and there was a distance between the door and the desks where they were all sitting and going over the budget and shooting schedule. So I walked in, and he got up, and he pointed a finger at me. I got halfway to the table, and he said, "You're Winterhawk." And that was it. And I said, yeah, okay. He said, "You're my man." He said, "I love your work." And he said, "Relax, we'll have dinner tonight, and you can go home and relax for a couple of weeks, and we're starting we'll start shooting on September 2nd. Well, September 2nd was my birthday. Now, what could have been a more beautiful gift than
now you're a star.
Yeah, that was really, really some gift. And
if anybody out there thinks that you didn't pay a price for that, how many years did you?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, I was under contract at 3 major studios. They tell me I'm the only actor they know. Every actor I ever talked to said don't know of any other actor that was under contract to MGM, Warner Brothers, and 20th Century Fox. And through that journey, which is in my autobiography, From Hollywood to Michael Dante Way. By the way, Ralph, I don't know if you know that Michael Dante Way is the name of the street, my hometown, named after me.
Oh, wow.
For the success of my career over the years, and rewarded with me, to me, the street signing. It's not a small street. It's a quarter of a mile long, and on a very busy street near the center of town. And that street went from the middle of town, or near a little park, all the way up to our high school, Stanford High School. Now, how many times over 3 years I walked. I walked to school up and back, and I lived 4 to 5 miles from school. I was 1 block away from having to go to Greenwich High School. I lived on Fairfield Avenue, which was the far end from where I lived to Stanford High School. So I walked up.
The guy that walked all those miles in the snow.
Right.
To get
in the snow, in the rain, played ball, football, baseball, basketball, did everything, go without eating, come home and go out again at night and play ball. But that was really the gift. Bob, I'm sorry to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but Michael Dante Way is another wonderful gift that my hometown honored me with for my success and the hard work. As you say, the journey wasn't easy, because we started out to play. When I first started out, small part. I made $200 a week on the contract at MGM, and I had worked in a picture. Somebody up there likes me, with Paul Newman, and Paul, who by the way is a wonderful actor and was a very nice man to work with, and
another man who gave
back.
Had
no billing. I didn't have any billing, and then you go from no billing to feature. From feature to co-star, a co-star to starring, and then with some television appearances, you get special guest star, like I had in Bonanza, special guest star in Star Trek, and in a lot of the shows that I did. But you work with a journey.
Like? I don't care about.
I didn't know if I was going to pay my rent the next month or the month after and so forth. We didn't. Now today, you do a series for 1 year, you got enough for 2 lifetimes. The money that they pay and the lifestyle. Before I got a $1,000 raise for a movie. My God, I did 10 pictures before I got a $1,000 raise. Today, if I did 10 movies, I'd be making $5-10 million a picture. So there you go.
Yeah.
The times have changed.
It's a changing world.
I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, Ralph. I never was that greedy about money. I turned a lot of money down. Series they wanted me to do that I didn't do. I took chances to do the things that I wanted to do. So on the level of my work, which is versatility, to do the things that I was capable of doing, and journey to the unknown was what I chose, and I succeeded. So I was not an unhappy camper. I was a very happy and successful actor that
and you still
enjoyed.
Absolutely,
and
still are.
That's
You're
right.
a happy and successful author, and you keep the dream going. Last question, and I'll let you go. Last time you were here, you elaborated on how when you work for a studio, they prepare you to be successful. They teach you horsemanship. They teach you how to fence, how to walk, how to orate, all those things that I never learned anywhere.
Yeah, articulate, sure. You're right, absolutely.
Yeah.
You were part of the family. So you were part of the family.
How does that equate when you played minor league ball? How does that preparation equate to when they teach you how to get ready for the big leagues?
Well, a little different. When I started with the Braves organization, they had several minor league clubs. When I went to camp in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the ripe old age of 18, they had 800, 900 players. They had several ballparks and so forth, but a lot of players.
Right after the war. Right after the war.
Right, yeah, and a lot of veterans that came back and youngsters like myself that went straight to professional baseball. Now today you have colleges, you have baseball schools and so forth to learn a lot more about fundamentals and develop the talent you have and then develop the talent you don't have. But there wasn't enough time to spend with a lot of the players in the beginning. So I learned a great deal by watching other players perform. I was a good student, and I was willing to learn and dedicate and acclimate myself to the fundamentals of the game, and became intelligent about the game. You know, hitting is not just getting up and swinging a bat. You have to know what the pitcher's best pitch is. What is he giving? What is he throwing over the plate? Let's say he has a curveball, a slider, and a fastball. Well, he's not getting the curveball over the plate. Okay, process of elimination. He's left with a slider and a fastball. Okay, that's two pitches. All right. Now, one of those pitches, depending on the count, I'll look for. So then I'll have the advantage of making good contact with one of those pitches. So you think and you learn as you go along and know what you could do, Ralph, and know what you can't do well. So you have to work on those things you don't do as well and not show off your talents that you do well, but work on your weaknesses, just like an actor. You work on things that I worked in theater workshops, even when I was on the contract, when I was working. I went to the workshop and worked on things that I was having problems with, and worked on things like comedy, because comedy, everybody in the business at the time thought that only the comedians can do comedy. Well, that's not true. An actor can do comedy, can do drama. All it is a flip-flop of tragedy and comedy, with humor and with a tragic ending or approach. So you work on those things in a workshop, and I did it for years. I worked at the Actors Studio. I worked at Theater East, Theater West, and I never stopped learning. And I was not driven by ego. I was driven by wanting to be a successful, versatile actor. That was my objective, that I can do most anything I trained myself for and wanted to do or challenge. You know, be prepared to do something and not be so sure you can do it. Adventure the unknown, and that's when magical things happen creatively as an actor prepares, an actor works, and working with fine directors and other actors, and it's feedback, it's reaction, not acting but reacting. And the more you learn about life, the more you learn about the game of baseball, and watch the good ones, how they play, how they approach the game, preparation before the game, the focus on what has to be done before the game, then during the game. Same thing with making motion picture, character study. You read your script and you study your script, and you're on top of your dialogue, and then you bring the creative forces that are God-given and that you hopefully you receive from the other actors that are in the scenes. And the same thing with your camaraderie with the ball players. You feed off of each other and you communicate. You communicate. That's why communication is so important to me in our world today. I want to see more people talking to each other. You know, Ralph, that if people are talking to each other, at least that's peaceful. It's a start. We got to sit down and talk civilly to each other, and then not be hostile and be angry at one another and use foul language. People always say to me, well, you that I grew up with, and to this day they say, well, you never swore. I don't see any sense in it, Ralph. I don't understand it. I think that
there are moments.
You can speak with one another, respect that other person, them and their background and the race, color, religion, and so forth. And
Dante, you mentioned versatility and in acting. The guy who comes to mind is a guy who you may have crossed paths with, because he played a lot of what I call the spaghetti westerns that you were in. And we talked last time. That's not an insult.
No.
That was kind of a genre of which, and that was Dean Martin, a guy who could be the straight man, but yet be a very funny, very, very funny.
Oh, what a talent! He was Dean Martin, one of the most talented men that ever lived in this business. And I've been watching all the westerns he's done. I didn't know he did that many westerns. He did. He did quite a few westerns.
Sammy and Frank, once in a while, you'd see the three of them dressed up as cowboys, which was nice.
Yeah.
Did you get to hang with him, or?
No, I met him, and I used to play at tennis with his son. They had a tennis court in right off Sunset Boulevard, and we used to play doubles there and use their court as often as we would like. We were invited, and I would see Dean once in a while, and we'd talk and say hello, and I knew he loved golf, and I was playing in a tournament at the Riviera Country Club, and I went to the day before to hit some balls to practice, which we were allowed to do. And I went down to the practice tee, and there was Dean hitting some balls all alone. And we had a wonderful dialogue. The first time I ever had a chance to talk to him at any length of time. And he loved golf. He loved golf, and we talked more about golf than anything else. About a good 20 minutes, a half hour. And he loved hitting golf balls, and he had a nice swing. He was good little golfer. You know. But a great talent. What a talent. I mean, the guy he had the funniest one, I think, had one of the greatest sense of humors and talents of all
my
time.
other hero that you might have crossed paths with is on the baseball end, Warren Spahn.
Oh, Warren Spahn and Pray for Rain. Yeah. Spahn and Sane and Pray for Rain. Yeah, I met Spahny when we were in Boston. Boston was playing a ball game. They had, I remember some of the players. Sid Gordon at third base, Sibbi Sisti at short, and Alvin Dark at that time was with the rookie with the Braves, and Johnny Sane.
Sankey must have been there.
Oh yeah, and what a thrill it was, because I got a chance to work out with the team and put on a Brave uniform. And Sibbi Sisti was so nice to me. He showed me he was the shortstop at the time. And then historically, I don't know if you know or not, Ralph, but Sibbi Sisti got hurt. He was going to be the opening day shortstop. He got hurt. He got injured. Alvin Dark took his place, and Alvin took over, and Sibbi Sisti never became more than a utility infielder. And then he got traded to the Giants, and of course he had a great career with the Giants and was a coach and a manager and a wonderful man. I knew Alvin very well. And of course Spahny was a very, very kind of a shy, nice guy. We were playing in a celebrity golf tournament in Oklahoma City, And
That's where he's from.
after we finished the golf, after dinner, this was a drinking group. There was Stanley, Sash, let's see, who else? Sam Musial, Warren Spahn, and Mickey Mantle. It was what a table and so forth. And I was invited to sit down and join these guys. After everybody had gone, they were just telling one story after another. And Spahny was there, and he couldn't be nicer. Musial, wonderful, and a couple more. I just at the moment I forget the names, but what a wonderful group of guys. One nicer than the other. But Spahny was really had a great sense of humor. Wonderful. It was different in Spain. Johnny Sane was kind of more on the serious side. Spahny had more of a sense of humor. Yeah, they were really a class a ball club. They had a good ball club at that time, the Braves, 1949-50. Then of course they moved to Milwaukee and then eventually to Atlanta. But
I had some
memories
of what precipitated the move from Boston to Milwaukee.
Yeah, just the box office. They didn't have. They weren't drawing anybody. The people they were more Red Sox fans than they were Brave fans, and Braves weren't winning as much as the Red Sox, and Red Sox were much more of a popular team. And the owner, he was had an Italian name, his construction company, that he took the club to Milwaukee, and then from Milwaukee, and of course Henry Aaron came into the picture in Milwaukee, and they began to win as a ball club, and win some pennants and some. Yeah, and of course Henry Aaron was a superstar, just a marvelous ball player. You know, he started out as a second baseman.
And wore number 5.
Yeah, he was. Yep, he was. What a ball player! Just incredible, and a nice man.
Absolutely, and with some class too. And
lots of class. They had a good,
really
good
put
ball
up
club.
with a lot when he was in the process of breaking Babe Ruth's record. That
imagine the pressure.
The hatred that people bestowed upon him, just because of the
and the pressure. Not only the pressure to continue to be a 300 hitter and a superstar that he was, and to maintain and be a nice guy that he was, and
the class that he showed,
and have to deal with that, Ralph. Yeah, and have to deal with that. I mean, you can imagine the character of the man.
Yes.
God bless him. He was truly a superstar on and off the field.
Hey, God bless you, Dante. You're a Renaissance man in the strictest sense. Your book is available on Amazon. 5 stars. What can you say? You're a 5-star guy, my friend. Keep coming back from time to time. You've got a great spirit, and please stay healthy.
Thank you, Ralph. You too. And keep up the good work, and God bless America. Let's all unite and become the great nation that we are and can be, and we will, Ralph. We will persevere.
Yes, we will. And to all of you out there, keep on keeping on. I'll be back probably same time, same bat channel. See ya. Thanks, Dante. Be well, my friend.
Thank you, Ralph. You too. God bless.
Yes.